Town Hall puts TV on trial, Sunday at 6 on Channel 2.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Sitting in tonight, Forrest Sawyer.
Good evening. Political shots were being fired in Washington today. This was the deadline that President Bush had given Congress to pass his economic recovery plan. Congress did pass a plan, but one that contains a tax break for the middle class paid by a tax increase on the wealthy. Mr. Bush had a veto waiting before the plan could even reach his desk, and then the charges started flying. The president said the congressional system is broken, and the Democrats fired back, saying Mr. Bush is just a panicky candidate for re-election. At the White House, Britt Hume.
The president spoke in the White House East Room with the trappings of his office all around him. But this was unmistakably a campaign event, enacted before an all-Republican audience which roared approval at every jab in his harshest attack yet on the Democratic-controlled Congress.
As if by reflex, the Democrats in Congress could not resist their natural impulse to raise taxes. But I assure you of this, I simply will not let them do it.
He had already signed the veto message for the bill passed this afternoon, he said, and he would send the measure back as soon as it arrived. He could not resist adding this.
Needless to say, I will not send it back via the House Post Office.
Congress, he complained, is choking on staff, awash in special interest campaign money, and too long under the rule of one party.
And for this, we get a Congress controlled by the Democratic caucus, which cannot manage a tiny bank or a tiny post office.
He said he still wants his economic plan passed, but in the meantime, he was acting on his own to force Congress to vote on about $4 billion worth of spending he wants cut. For example, the president wants to axe the $1.5 million earmarked for 2 theater projects in New York City and to cut $200,000 for research on the storage of Vidalia onions. Whether such spending cuts ever actually happen or not, making them an issue seemed to please the assembled Republicans and no doubt relieve worried White House aides. Officials here said today's speech was the product of a week-long series of highly unfocused meetings presided over jointly by the president's chief of staff and his campaign chief. One top official said it was the most chaotic process he'd ever seen in 10 years in government. Britt Hume, ABC News, the White House.
If there was confusion at the White House, there was none at all among the Democrats on Capitol Hill today. They saw the president's veto coming and were prepared to sound a theme you will almost certainly hear throughout the presidential campaign. Cokie Roberts has that story.
On Capitol Hill, the Democratic leadership was ready and waiting for the president's challenge.
For 12 years, Presidents Reagan and Bush have pursued the trickle-down theory of economics. The American people now know that they've been trickled on long enough.
Democrats rushed their House bill through both houses of Congress today, complete with its middle-class cut and tax increase for the rich.
I can't believe for the life of me that my friends on the Democratic side think there's political mileage in the kind of thing you've brought to the floor of this House.
That's exactly what many Democrats do think, and they're thrilled with the president's determination to veto.
By my count, he will alienate about 99% of all American taxpayers with that veto pen.
As to the $4 billion package of spending cuts proposed by the president, Democrats say they'll choose which programs get the axe. At the top of their list, programs like the Kissimmee River Basin cleanup and the U.S.-Mexican border project, programs promised by candidate Bush out on the primary campaign trail. Political games rather than legislation will now govern everything here, but voters say it's just those games that make them angry. So in trying to beat the other guy, both parties could end up losing. Cokie Roberts, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
More fallout from the bad check scandal in the House of Representatives. The House Speaker says he will end some of the perks that lawmakers now enjoy. No more free prescription drugs. And the fee for using the House gym, now $100 a year, will be raised to bring it more in line with what private health clubs charge. While Congress and the president were publicly battling it out over taxes, the Department of Health and Human Services was quietly announcing a significant change in the administration's policy on abortion, a change that will also have a political impact. Here's ABC's George Strait.
Under the new guidelines, abortion can be discussed in federally funded health clinics. That is a significant change because previous guidelines forbid the mention of the word. Nurses, counselors, even doctors were not allowed to discuss abortions. If a woman's life was in danger, all they were allowed to do is refer her to a clinic for emergency care. Nurses and counselors still cannot even mention the word, but the new guidelines do allow doctors to discuss the procedure with a woman and even refer her to a clinic that does abortions, so long as that is not the only health care procedure they do. The White House says that is no real change. The doctors were never really prohibited from discussing any medical option with their patients. Abortion rights organizations say the guidelines do relax the so-called gag rule, but they are disappointed that nurses and counselors are still prohibited from discussing abortion. The administration would like anti-abortion activists to believe there has been no change. At the same time, by allowing doctors to mention abortion may soften criticism, some of it from women in the Republican Party, that the administration is interfering with the doctor-patient relationship. That's important because abortion is expected to be a significant issue in the fall election. George Strait, ABC News, Washington.
And when we come back, Iraq tells the UN, yes, it will destroy its weapons of mass destruction. The beating of motorist Rodney King, a Los Angeles police officer, says the videotape does not tell the whole story. And our person of the week, finding power in sacrifice.
In the midday sun, a gentle breeze, the embrace, wide eyes, remember these, the touch, the feel, the fabric of our lives, the touch, the feel of cotton, the fabric of our lives.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered this 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes with Just for Men.
A possible turning point today in that war of nerves with Iraq. For more than a week now, there have been broad hints that military action might be taken if Iraq does not destroy all of its chemical, ballistic, and nuclear weapons. As ABC's Bob Zelnick reports, Saddam Hussein appears to be listening.
On Capitol Hill this morning, General Colin Powell repeated the U.S. was ready to use force if Iraq did not agree to destroy its weapons facilities.
They can do it the easy way, they can do it the hard way.
But a few hours later in New York, the UN's top weapons inspector indicated that Iraq has chosen the easy way.
I'm glad for the first time, I think, since I took up my job, I providing you with some good news.
Iraq has agreed to provide plans for the destruction of all equipment related to ballistic missiles as demanded by the UN. What's more, the Iraqis say they will destroy 10 priority items in the presence of an inspection team that enters the country tomorrow.
It appears, anyhow, that what we have requested with regard to destruction will take place now in this month of March.
Iraq also agreed to furnish UN inspectors with proof that all 800 of its Scud missiles have been destroyed. The Iraqis also promised complete details on their chemical warheads. Talks on the destruction of nuclear facilities will begin in Geneva tomorrow. Assuming the Iraqis follow through on all this, it will eliminate the immediate threat of renewed Allied bombing. Diplomats also say it may mark the beginning of a major Iraqi push for a lifting of UN economic sanctions. Bob Zelnick, ABC News at the Pentagon.
There's another difficult job ahead for the United Nations in Cambodia. A UN peacekeeping force began arriving there this week, and it will try to enforce a ceasefire between the Cambodian army and the Khmer Rouge guerrillas, who killed at least 1 million Cambodians when they ran the country in the mid-70s. There's also the job of getting hundreds of thousands of Cambodian refugees back home. Here's ABC's Bill Redeker.
Ong Samut lost his right leg when he stepped on a landmine as he escaped from Cambodia. He is one of 360,000 refugees at these camps along the border between Thailand and Cambodia. Now, after a dozen years, he and the others are preparing to go home. Yes, I have fears, he says, but the United Nations will keep me safe. That's what many here believe, that the UN repatriation program will protect them from landmines, malaria, even the Khmer Rouge. The problems confronting these people are so vast and so varied that there are serious questions being asked about whether the United Nations can manage the program. The UN's mandate is to safely return 10,000 Cambodians every week for the next 9 months. The UN will then supervise voting to choose the first freely elected government in 20 years. Even UN officials admit repatriating and protecting all the refugees will be difficult.
I think that's probably the case. I mean, I think in a sense we've made a mistake. We've raised expectations about how much we can and cannot contribute towards this movement.
UN officials are fighting deadlines. They have only a few months before the rainy season will wash out roads that are now being rebuilt. They are also racing to repair badly damaged bridges. Some of them could collapse. They also want to resettle the refugees before the Khmer Rouge tries to grab and hold land. The strategy? Award each family 5 acres of farmland. But there is not enough land that has been cleared of mines.
They last for decades. They're very hard to detect. They're planted everywhere in the jungle, in the rice fields around the villages. It will be a problem for decades to come.
And there are, of course, the money problems. The UN says it is $80 million short for the first phase of the $3 billion program.
We need money now because we're starting now.
The UN plans to borrow money from other UN budgets until it can convince member nations, especially the United States, to help out. If it fails, many of the returning Cambodians will be stranded, unable to vote in the elections, threatening Cambodia's chance to begin its return from anarchy. Bill Redeker, ABC News, Western Cambodia.
Still overseas, in China today, a surprise at the opening session of the annual People's Congress. Premier Li Peng, who has built his reputation as a hardliner, told the Congress that now he is all for economic reform, and he even went so far as to suggest paying workers more if they produce more. And in the former Soviet Union, leaders of the new Commonwealth held their 4th summit meeting today to try and resolve some urgent military and economic problems. They accomplished nothing. We'll be back in a moment.
Introducing Maxwell House Light. It tastes as rich as Maxwell House coffee, but only has half the caffeine. So rich, you'll just think of it as Maxwell House. New Maxwell House Light. All the rich taste, half the caffeine.
Devon, it's the final week of Color Tile's biggest sale of the year. Wow, save up to 67%. DuPont Stainmaster Carpet, $11.66. That's half price. Vinyl Tile, 44 cents. Half price. Ceramic Tile, 59 cents. Half price. Mini blinds, buy one, get three free. Don't miss out. Vinyl floors, half price. Ceramic Tile, half price. Mini blinds, buy one, get three free. Color Carpet, half price. Color Tile's biggest sale of the year. Final week. Sale ends Monday.
If you're looking for a great vacation, start at the top. Take a 3, 4, or 7-day fun ship vacation on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
There's constipation and there's constipation. Oh, yeah. When it's this bad, take it to the max. New Maximum Relief Formula X-Lax pills with 50% more X-Lax medicine for maximum relief. Oh, yeah. Take it to the max.
Now, Miracle Grow plant food comes in easy-to-use houseplant spikes. Just use this free aerator, then slip in the spike. It'll feed continuously with Miracle Grow for up to 60 days. New Miracle Grow spikes for more beautiful houseplants.
In California today, more testimony from one of the 4 Los Angeles police officers accused of assaulting black motorist Rodney King. That's the beating that was captured on a home video camera. Here's ABC's Judy Muller.
Under cross-examination, Sergeant Stacy Kuhn conceded that the beating officers under his command gave Rodney King was the most violent use of force he had seen in his 14 and a half years on the job. At the same time, he insisted that the use of force some 56 blows, was necessary.
In watching the videotape now, is it your testimony that every one of the blows that you see on there is a justified use of force?
It's a reasonable and necessary using the minimum force. Yes, sir, that is my testimony.
Kuhn said that King posed a threat to his officers, that he had Hulk-like strength, rose up with a bear-like yell, and groaned like a wounded animal. The prosecutor asked Kuhn how King could be called an aggressor when he never struck out at anyone, adding,
You didn't see him to have any weapon, did you?
Yes, I did see him to have a weapon.
What kind of a weapon did Mr. King have?
It was his body, and he was under the influence of PCP.
Even though medical tests later showed that King was not on the drug PCP, Kuhn says the officers believed he was, and that prompted them to treat King as a combative suspect. When the prosecution made its case earlier, an officer with the California Highway Patrol told a different story. She said that King was not a threat and that he was hit 7 times in the head without cause. But the strongest witness for the prosecution remains the videotape of the beating. The defense is trying to convince the jury that the tape does not tell the whole story. The prosecution did not call Rodney King to the stand, choosing not to dilute the impact of the videotape. The defense could still call King as a hostile witness. Judy Muller, ABC News, Los Angeles.
A huge pileup today on a foggy highway in California, a series of chain reactions. About 100 cars and trucks in all on Interstate 15 at a mountain pass outside San Bernardino. 1 person was killed, another 45 injured. We'll be back.
Where do you want to be in 20 years?
Well, my father worked for the same company for 39 years. He got 2 weeks vacation, but we never traveled far. He was saving to put 3 kids through college. At 65, he retired. At 67, he died. How can I invest so that after my kids graduate, I can enjoy the second half of my life?
You can get there from here with Shearson Lehman Brothers.
Now arriving, track 14.
Imagine every day, everywhere you go, with every step you take, a pillowy cushion of softness. That's Dr. Scholl's unique 2-layer air pillow insoles. 1 layer for shock, 1 for comfort. Dr. Scholl's air pillow insoles. You'll feel better when the doctor is in.
You really think naphtha can be replaced with a non-flammable solvent?
In 1929, she was the only woman and the only PhD chemist in the physics lab. But over the years, she was responsible for 29 different patents.
Hello, I'm Sylvia Stacer.
Dr. Stacer created a new career path for women and for her company. The same company that leads the nation in patents granted to women over the last decade. We think Dr. Stacer would be pleased.
Now let you do great things.
Your breakfast, sir. This new Kellogg's Frosted Bran is quite sensible. Crispy flakes with whole wheat and bran, slightly frosted for a taste that's delicious. I love it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I love it. And new Kellogg's Frosted Bran has less sugar than you'd imagine, but the taste, it's out of...
We've got to stop serving this. New Kellogg's Frosted Bran, wildly delicious, sensibly good.
Another court case, this one involving one of the biggest names in the savings and loan scandal, Charles Keating, who was the chairman of Lincoln Savings and Loan in California, which collapsed 3 years ago. Already convicted on criminal charges, Keating now faces a huge civil suit in Tucson, Arizona. As ABC's Ron Claiborne reports, thousands of investors are trying to get their money back.
There is no question that it was deliberate, that he was just an out-and-out thief.
79-year-old Michael Wolpert is still angry at Charles Keating. In 1989, he lost $35,000, his life savings, when his American Continental Corporation bonds became worthless. Wolpert has had to move to a single room in Costa Mesa, California, where he lives off Social Security and whatever he can make selling inexpensive jewelry.
How can he smile like that, knowing what he did?
Keating and 7 co-defendants are on trial for allegedly not telling investors that American Continental was losing millions of dollars. American Continental owned Lincoln Savings and Loan, where some elderly investors say they were pressured by salesmen into buying bonds.
My wife said,
Are these financially insured by the government? He said, well, no. He said, but they're even better. He said, the government will go broke before you will ever go broke.
These elderly investors have met regularly for 3 years to support one another.
If you go to some of these meetings that we have, it breaks your heart to see what it has done to so many people.
On the stand, Keating took the Fifth Amendment 51 times, but he says he feels sorry for the investors.
I feel as bad as they do.
That's right.
I've lost everything I had, too, and of course their loss comes first. Nothing in my life grieves me or my wife more than that.
As far as Charles Keating is concerned, I would like to see him rot in jail for what he's done to us.
Now that the lawsuit has gone to trial, they hope they will finally recover their money and possibly damages. But even if they win, elderly investors like Michael Walford can never replace what they've lost. For 3 years, they've had to get by without money they counted on when they needed it most. Ron Claiborne, ABC News, Los Angeles.
On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials gained nearly 15 points today to close at 3276. Trading was heavy. For the week, stocks gained more than 40 points. A terrifying moment at a political rally near Tokyo today. The vice chairman of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party had just finished speaking when a gunman in the front row opened fire. Security guards grabbed the gunman, who said he belonged to a right-wing group. The politician, Shin Kanemaru, ducked behind the podium and was not hurt. We'll have more in a moment.
World News Tonight with Peter Jennings and the Person of the Week are brought to you by the Discover Card. Sold!
Let's say you bought a painting. Let's say Van Gogh's Sunflowers. Let's say you used the Discover Card. You'd have a little money coming back. Because with the Discover Card, every single charge earns an annual cashback bonus.
Nice.
It pays to Discover, the card that pays you back.
Good morning, America! Good morning.
Good morning.
Wake up, you sleepyhead. Good morning to you and you and you. Get up, get out of bed.
Every morning all across America, over 50 million people come to life with Delta faucets.
Good morning, good morning.
Delta, the way water is brought to life.
I use a shampoo for dandruff, but my scalp still itches like crazy.
You need new Scalpicin, the revolutionary scalp medicine for deep scalp itch, not ordinary dandruff. Scalpicin is not a shampoo. It's a clear liquid you don't wash away like shampoo. Apply Scalpicin anytime for deep scalp itch relief with medicine chosen by doctors over all these dandruff shampoo formulas. Scalpicin penetrates to relieve the itch and help prevent flaking.
The itch is gone.
New Scalpicin, the scalp medicine for deep scalp itch.
These 3 men are in prison for rape. They claim they're innocent. 2020 uncovered what the police didn't find, and it could set them free.
Plus, their leaders called us lazy, but what does the average Joe in Japan think about America? Watch 2020 tonight.
And finally this evening, our Person of the Week. She has stood on the international stage for decades as a pioneer in the arts and sciences. Recently, she's taken a stand of a different sort for a cause, asking Americans from all walks of life to join her.
We have taken the lead in democracy, and we've helped out, earthquake victims and you name it, all over the world. And suddenly it seemed to me that Haiti was the bottom of the pile, the bottom of everything.
49 days ago, Catherine Dunham decided it was time to make a point about the plight of refugees being sent back to Haiti, her second home. On February 1st, the 82-year-old Dunham began to fast.
I have been on cranberry juice and water. When I saw the way those Haitians were being treated, and I knew they'd have to go back to Haiti, and that they would not have safety there. And so, well, somebody has to act in a hurry.
Early on in her fast, Dunham became extremely weak, and her vision became impaired. Her doctors ordered her to the hospital, and she rallied.
I'm not at all concerned about death or fear.
But this week, after a visit by the exiled Haitian President Aristide, who was planning to return to Haiti, and the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Dunham was convinced she should begin to eat, that she has made her point.
In some real sense, the witness of Katherine Dunham is a factor in stimulating all of us to do more, to be more sacrificial, to suffer more to the end that somebody else might survive.
And for her own survival, Dunham has added chicken soup and Jell-O to her diet.
I have to get strong enough to go when the president goes to Haiti to go with him.
Katherine Dunham was born near Chicago. At the age of 8, she began dancing to raise money for her church.
There was an urge in me, a necessity to dance.
As a teenager, Dunham continued dancing to pay her way through the University of Chicago, where she studied anthropology and classical ballet. For her master's degree, Dunham received a grant to study primitive culture in the Caribbean. First stop, Haiti. It was the local dance she discovered that unlocked the secrets of their culture.
And that has always fascinated me. Who dances, why, when, and what they wear.
By the late 1930s, Dunham was an established authority on primitive culture, lecturing at colleges around the country. At the same time, she was forming the Katherine Dunham Dance Troupe, the first black dance company in America.
In terms of our color, it was bound to happen, Sometimes people who had never seen or thought about black people were delighted with what they saw.
Throughout the 1940s and 50s, the Dunham dancers were an international sensation on Broadway, in movies, and clubs around the world. Since 1936, Dunham has split her time between her estate in Haiti and her more modest home in East St. Louis, Illinois. It's here, in the impoverished inner city, that Dunham has added a touch of her own brand of culture, the Katherine Dunham Museum of Dance and Primitive Culture. The world-famous Dunham technique taught at the local college, and most important for her, the Dunham Children's Workshop.
These are the ones who need help and guidance. The arts can be used to socialize young people easier than just ABCs.
Katherine Dunham says she has never set out to change the world, only to make a point. And judging by the thousands of letters and phone calls in support of her fast for Haitian refugees, it seems by many to be a point well taken.
If this has aroused some of the conscience of American people, I think it's been well worthwhile.
And so we choose Katherine Dunham, a woman of talent and conviction who has always taken risks for what she believes. That's our report on World News Tonight. I'm Forrest Sawyer. Peter Jennings will be back here on Monday, and I'll see you later tonight on Nightline. For all of us at ABC News, good night.
On set of Gone with the Wind. Behind schedule, over budget, and still no script. Clark Gable refuses to play his part. Leading lady Vivian Lee threatens to walk. Will Wind ever be finished? Or is this David O. Selznick's folly? Find out. The Making of a Legend. Gone with the Wind.
It's where you belong, Saturday night at 8. Funding for the McNeil-Lehrer News Hour has been provided by ODS Health Plan, the group medical plan that meets the needs of more than 600,000 Oregonians by providing a broad range of medical and dental coverage and responsive service.